Commencement is another word for beginning. Beginning refers to the starting point of something, whether it's a story, journey, or project. The beginning of the movie was surprisingly emotional. Commencement means the formal start of something, often used for ceremonies or significant events. Delegates from around the world gathered for the commencement of the summit. Both words refer to the act of starting something. Beginning is casual and can refer to everyday starts, while commencement is often used for more formal or grand occasions. The beginning of spring felt refreshing. The commencement of negotiations lasted for hours.
Despicable is another word for wretched. Wretched describes a person or thing in very unfortunate or miserable circumstances. The wretched old shack was creaking and shaking during the storm. Despicable refers to something or someone deserving of contempt or moral outrage. The movie's villain showed despicable behavior when he stole the treasure. Both words can describe deeply negative states or qualities. Wretched focuses on suffering or pitiable conditions, while despicable emphasizes moral disgust. The wretched weather kept everyone indoors. Dumping toxic waste into the ocean was a despicable act that harmed many sea creatures.
Imbibe is another word for drink. To drink means to consume a liquid, typically water or a beverage. My neighbor drank a cold glass of lemonade after mowing the lawn. Imbibe is a more formal or poetic term for drinking, often implying savoring or absorbing something. The vineyard guests imbibed the local wines, savoring each sip. Both words describe the act of taking in liquid. Drink is straightforward and used in everyday conversations, while imbibe can mean the intentional act of consuming a beverage for enjoyment or experience. Imbibe is often associated with alcohol consumption. We sat by the fire, drinking our coffee. They were imbibing far too many pitchers of beer.
Pannier is another word for basket. A basket is a container made of woven material, often used for carrying or storing items. She filled the basket with freshly picked apples. A pannier refers specifically to a basket that's used for carrying goods or provisions. I attach the pannier to my back to carry my groceries home. Both words describe containers made of woven materials. Basket is a general term for a woven container with an open top, while pannier is more specialized and secure, often linked to transporting goods. The picnic basket was packed with sandwiches. My neighbor used a pannier to transport her camping gear.
Fastidious is another word for neat. Neat means organized, tidy, or clean. My coworker's desk is always neat, with everything in its proper place. Fastidious describes someone who is excessively concerned with detail, precision, or cleanliness. The florist was fastidious about the flower arrangements for the client's high-profile wedding. Both words relate to order and cleanliness. Neat is widely applicable for someone or something being tidy, while fastidious implies a meticulous or sometimes over-the-top attention to detail. He made sure his house was neat before guests came over. Her fastidious approach to baking meant every cupcake had to be identical.
Commodity is another word for product. Product refers to anything made, manufactured, or grown for sale or use. This company is known for its eco-friendly skincare products. Commodity is a term for raw materials or basic goods traded in large quantities. Wheat is an important global commodity. Both words refer to items that can be bought or sold. Products include finished goods and items tailored to consumer preferences, while commodities refer specifically to basic, interchangeable goods. The new tech product launched this week, coffee, is one of the world's most traded commodities.
Commiserate is another word for pity. To pity means to feel sorrow or compassion for someone else's suffering. She felt pity for the stray dog shivering in the rain. To commiserate means to express or share sympathy and understanding with someone who is suffering, often from the same situation or circumstance. He called his friend to commiserate about the rainy weather ruining their plans. Both words deal with compassion or concern for someone else's misfortune. Pitying someone or something can sometimes be felt from a distance, but commiserating implies mutual understanding or shared feelings with more immediate and heartfelt emotions. The tourists felt pity for the struggling shopkeeper. They commiserated over their tough final exam in chemistry.
De facto is another word for actually. Actually means in fact or truly, often used to correct or emphasize something. The concert was scheduled for Friday night, but it was actually moved to Saturday. De facto is a Latin phrase meaning of fact or in reality, often used for unofficial situations and in contrast with de jure, which means of law. She was the de facto leader of the group, though no one gave her the title. Both words convey reality or truth. Actually is conversational and flexible, while de facto is often used in legal or technical contexts. They were nervous about the presentation, but it actually went smoothly. The island operates as a de facto independent state despite not being officially recognized.
Rectify is another word for mend. Mend means to repair something that is broken or damaged. He mended the hole in his jacket with a needle and thread. Rectify means to correct or fix a problem, often abstract or conceptual. The company promised to rectify the billing error immediately. Both words involve fixing or repairing. Mend is typically physical and involves minor improvements, while rectify is often used for errors or injustices that require systematic fixes. She mended the broken latch on the gate. The politician worked to rectify past inequities in housing policies.
Sector is another word for zone. Zone refers to a specific area or region defined by boundaries. The parking zone was clearly marked with signs. Sector typically refers to a distinct part of a system, industry, or economy. The tech sector is growing rapidly. Both words indicate divisions of space or categories. Zone is more geographical or spatial, while sector often pertains to organizational or economic divisions. The residential zone was peaceful at night. The agricultural sector faced challenges due to drought.
Reproach is another word for blame. Blame means to hold someone or something responsible for a fault or mistake. He blamed subway delays for his late arrival to work. Reproach refers to expressing disapproval or disappointment in someone's actions. The teacher reproached the student after she failed to complete her homework. Both words involve assigning fault or expressing disapproval. Blame is more straightforward and focuses on accountability, while reproach carries a tone of moral judgment or disappointment. I blame my brother for taking so long to get ready that we missed our flight. She reproached her friend for not keeping the secret to herself.
Indigo is another word for blue. Blue is a primary color often associated with the sky or ocean. The water in the Caribbean is a striking shade of blue against the white sand. Indigo is a deep and rich blue, with a slight violet hue. The indigo evening sky signaled that it was almost night. Both words describe hues in the blue family of colors. Blue is a broader term that includes a range of light and dark shades, while indigo is a more specific deep blue-violet color. Indigo is also the name of the plant that yields the dye used in blue jeans and denim cloths.
Vicinity is another word for neighborhood. Neighborhood refers to a residential area, often defined by community ties or physical boundaries. The residents of the neighborhood gathered at the park for a barbecue. Vicinity means the area near or around a specific location. There's a bakery somewhere in the vicinity of the train station. Both words describe areas in relation to a specific place. Neighborhood emphasizes community or residential aspects, while vicinity is more general and focuses on proximity. The new cafe quickly became a favorite in the neighborhood. There were no gas stations in the immediate vicinity.
Promptly is another word for soon. Soon means in a short time, indicating something is expected to happen shortly. I'll call you back soon. Promptly means without delay or hesitation, often implying immediacy. The train departed promptly at 8 a.m. Both words relate to actions happening in a short time frame. Soon is more flexible and less specific, while promptly carries a sense of urgency or exact timing. I'll finish the report soon. The doctor arrived promptly after being paged.
Turmoil is another word for mess. Mess refers to a state of disorder that's often localized. She was a mess when she couldn't keep up with her busy schedule. Turmoil means a state of extreme confusion or upheaval, often emotional or societal. After the hurricane, the damaged town was in turmoil. Both words describe disorder or lack of organization. Mess is often used for everyday, tangible chaos, while turmoil describes deeper, more intense disruption that's often broad. The breakup had my friend feeling like a mess because he was so upset. The financial turmoil affected markets globally.
Envelop is another word for hug. To hug means to embrace someone or something with your arms, often to show affection. Her mom gave her a hug before heading to the airport. To envelop means to surround or cover something completely. Thick fog enveloped the city, making it hard to see the buildings. Both words convey the idea of encircling or surrounding. Hug is intimate and physical, while envelop can be used abstractly or dramatically. The child always hugged his teddy bear at bedtime. The artist's mural enveloped an entire studio wall.
Misadventure is another word for accident.
Accident refers to an unplanned event that causes harm or damage. Breaking the vase was purely an accident, I didn't mean to. Misadventure is a more literary term for an unlucky or unfortunate event, often with a hint of humor or irony. Their camping trip turned into a misadventure when they forgot the tent. Both words describe unintended, negative events. Accident is neutral and straightforward, while misadventure often suggests a story-worthy mishap. The accident caused a major traffic jam. The sailing misadventure made for an entertaining story later.
Boisterous is another word for loud. Loud describes a high volume of sound, whether from people, music, or other sources. The movie was so loud that I couldn't wait to leave the theater. Boisterous refers to noisy, energetic, and rowdy behavior. The boisterous party went on until the late hours of the night, causing the neighbors to complain. Both words involve high levels of sound or energy. Loud focuses on volume, while boisterous includes an element of unrestrained activity or exuberance. The bus driver reminded the children not to be so loud during the ride to school. The boisterous crowd cheered wildly at the concert.
Portal is another word for entrance. Entrance refers to an opening or passage for going in somewhere. The grand entrance to the mansion was flanked by marble pillars. Portal is a more formal or fantastical term for an entrance, often suggesting grandeur or even magical properties. The ancient portal glowed with a mysterious light. Both words describe openings or points of access. Entrance is everyday and practical, while portal has a dramatic or imaginative flair. The theater entrance was crowded. In the movie, the characters traveled through a portal to another dimension.
Reform is another word for change. Change means to make or become different. My brother decided to change his hairstyle after years of keeping it the same. Reform refers to making improvements by correcting faults or injustices. The government reformed its policies to address inequality. Both words involve altering something. Change can mean altering something positively or negatively on a large or small scale, while reform carries a sense of purposeful improvement, typically in a system or institution. The preschool teacher changed the class's morning routine by starting with reading instead of free play. The organization is working tirelessly to reform healthcare access.
Congenial is another word for agreeable. Agreeable means pleasant or enjoyable in reference to a person or situation. The weather was agreeable for a picnic in the park. Congenial refers to someone or something that is especially suitable or harmonious. My new coworker is quite congenial. We share the same goals and interests. Both words describe pleasantness or suitability. Agreeable can refer to a broad sense of acceptability, while congenial often emphasizes personal compatibility and connection. He was agreeable about the timeline for the construction project. The atmosphere at the party was so congenial that we never wanted to leave.
Veneer is another word for surface. Surface refers to the outermost layer or boundary of something. The surface of the lake reflected the golden sunset. Veneer refers to a thin decorative covering, often used for aesthetic or protective purposes. Over time, the thin veneer on the tabletop began to peel, revealing the raw material beneath. Both words describe outer layers or appearances. Surface can refer to any outer layer, while veneer often implies a covering to hide what's underneath. I ran my fingers along the rough surface of the brick wall. The countertops were covered in a thin layer of marble veneer that made them look more expensive.
Yearn is another word for wish. To wish means to desire something, often with hope but without deep intensity. I wish it would stop raining so I could go for a jog. To yearn means to have an intense longing for something, often accompanied by emotional depth. He yearned for the simpler days of his childhood. Both words express wanting something. Wish is lighter and more casual, while yearn conveys a deeper, sometimes painful, longing. I wish I could book a trip over spring break. The student yearned for a sense of belonging after moving to a new school.
Attentive is another word for alert. Alert means being quick to notice or respond to potential danger or changes. The guards stayed alert throughout the night. Attentive means paying close attention, often with care or interest. The teacher appreciated the attentive students in her class. Both words describe heightened focus. Alert suggests readiness for action, while attentive often implies thoughtfulness or deliberate observation. The pilot remained alert during the storm. The waiter was attentive to the needs of every customer.
Habituate is another word for adjust. Adjust means to alter or modify something to fit new conditions. He adjusted the chair to make it more comfortable. Habituate means to become accustomed to something, often through repeated exposure. The horses were habituated to the sounds of traffic after a few weeks. Both words involve adapting to change. Adjust often refers to immediate, deliberate changes, while habituate is a gradual process of getting used to something. She adjusted the settings on her computer. Over time, he habituated to the chilly climate.
Voluminous is another word for big. Big means large in size, extent, or amount. The big dog bounded across the yard. Voluminous refers to something large, but often in terms of volume, abundance, or capacity. Her voluminous skirt flowed elegantly as she walked. Both words describe largeness. Big is simple and versatile, while voluminous often has an elegant context and can convey a sense of fullness rather than just large size. The big truck barely fit in the parking space. The author's voluminous memoir was over 1,000 pages.
Amnesty is another word for forgiveness. Forgiveness refers to the act of pardoning someone for a mistake or wrongdoing. The child granted forgiveness to her friend after their argument at recess. Amnesty refers to an official pardon, often for political offences. The government offered amnesty to those who surrendered their weapons. Both words involve letting go of punishment or resentment. Forgiveness is personal and emotional, while amnesty is formal and often involves legal or political contexts. The couple found peace through forgiveness, opting to let go of the past. After years of war, the two sides agreed to a treaty that included amnesty for all soldiers.
Sully is another word for disgrace. Disgrace means to bring shame onto someone or something by loss of respect, honor, or reputation. The man's reckless behavior disgraced his family. Sully means to taint or cast doubt upon someone or something. The scandal sullied the company's good name. Both words describe damage to reputation or dignity. Disgrace focuses on the result of shame or dishonor, while sully emphasizes the act of casting doubt. The athlete was caught cheating, which disgraced not only himself but also his entire team. The scandal sullied the city council's reputation, causing the members to resign.
Appendage is another word for arm. An arm refers to the upper limb of the human body, extending from the shoulder to the hand. The athlete raised his arm to catch the ball. An appendage is a broader term that refers to any body part attached to the main body, which can include an arm, another limb, or even a tail. The octopus's appendages moved gracefully in the water. Both words describe parts of the body that extend outward and are attached to a main structure. Arm is specific to humans and other animals with similar limbs, while appendage is a general term used in biological or anatomical contexts. She broke her arm in a skiing accident. The insect's appendages are specialized for climbing.
Convey is another word for carry. Carry means to bear or sustain something, often related to effort or a burden. As the manager, she carried the responsibility of ensuring her team met all deadlines. Convey means to transfer or communicate something, often ideas or emotions. The painting conveys a deep sense of nostalgia. Both words involve managing intangible things, such as ideas, emotions, or responsibilities. Carry can mean bearing or holding onto a metaphorical burden or idea, while convey is more formal and can mean transmitting a message or feeling. Despite obstacles, he still carries hope for the future. The teacher used simple examples to convey a complex concept to her students.
Nefarious is another word for wicked. Wicked means evil or morally wrong, though it can also be used playfully. The wicked villain plotted his next move. Nefarious means criminally or extremely wicked, often with a focus on sinister deeds. The hacker's nefarious scheme involved stealing sensitive data. Both words describe wrongdoing or evil behavior. Wicked can refer to something or someone that is wrong or evil, but it can range in seriousness, while nefarious is always serious and sinister. I can't believe the wicked rumors people are spreading all over school. The mastermind's nefarious plan was uncovered by investigators.
To rejuvenate a person, parts of the body, etc., is to make them feel young, healthy, or energetic again. To rejuvenate something abstract, such as an economy or career, is to give it new strength or energy. The hotel package includes a day at the spa to rejuvenate guests. Small businesses opening along the main street have rejuvenated the downtown area.
Potpourri is a mixture of dried flower petals, leaves, and spices that is used to make a room smell pleasant. When used figuratively, potpourri refers to a collection of various different things. Her favorite winter potpourri includes cinnamon sticks, cloves, and orange peel. The book is a potpourri of stories about family, community, and food.
Someone described as addlepated is mixed up or confused. Addlepated can also be used as synonym of eccentric. Some addlepated clerk confused our hotel reservation with that of another, similarly named, party.
To fulminate is to complain loudly or angrily about something. The editorial fulminated against the corruption in the state government that has been recently uncovered. He was always fulminating against interference from the government.
Cerulean describes things whose blue color resembles the blue of a clear sky. The painting depicts leafless trees bordering a cerulean lake.
Tome is a formal word for a book, and especially a very large, thick, often scholarly book. We picked up a tome on the Ghana Empire for our history project. She's written several weighty tomes on the subject.
To beleaguer a person, business, etc. is to cause them constant or repeated trouble. Beleaguer is also sometimes used as a synonym of besiege. The coach, beleaguered by the media and fans for his poor decision-making during games, has been fired. The novel is set in a city beleaguered by military forces.
Something described as gelid, such as the weather or a person's demeanor, is literally or figuratively extremely cold or icy. She decided to move down south after experiencing Chicago's gelid winters throughout college. The judge listened with the gelid detachment of someone who had heard it all before.
Excursion refers to a trip, and especially to a short one made for pleasure. Excursion is also often used figuratively to refer to a deviation from a direct, definite, or proper course, and often in particular to a digression. Some of Maya's most cherished childhood memories are fishing excursions with her grandpa. Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass is an excursion into a fantastical world where nothing is what it seems to be, and everything appears to be what it is not.
Something, such as a position, excuse, or situation, that is described as untenable cannot be defended against attack or criticism. The scientists considered their colleague's theory to be bold but ultimately untenable. His position had become untenable and he was forced to resign.
To cozen someone is to deceive, win over, or induce them to do something by coaxing or trickery. The organization cozened scores of people by persuading them to participate in a fraudulent investment scheme. She was determined not to be cozened.
A leitmotif is a dominant recurring theme, something such as a melody, an idea, or a phrase repeated many times throughout a book, story, opera, etc. The overcoming of obstacles and a love of theater are the two leitmotifs of her autobiography. Death and renewal are leitmotifs running through the whole novel.
Secular describes things that are not spiritual, that is, they relate more to the physical world than the spiritual world. The word also carries the closely related meaning of not religious. Each year, Ian directed his charitable giving toward secular concerns like affordable housing and arts programming for teens. In her autobiography, the actor mentions that her education in parochial school was not so different from that of secular institutions.
A deus ex machina is a character or thing that suddenly enters the story in a novel, play, movie, etc., and solves a problem that had previously seemed impossible to solve. The introduction of a new love interest in the final act was the perfect deus ex machina for the main character's happy ending.
Something is considered hackneyed when it is not interesting, funny, etc., because of being used too often. In other words, it's neither fresh nor original. The new crime drama's characters are shallow stereotypes who engage one another in hackneyed dialogue. There was truth in that hackneyed old saying in show business, fame costs.
To parlay something is to use or develop it in order to get something else of greater value. Parlay is often used with the word into. He hoped to parlay his basketball skills into a college scholarship. She parlayed $5,000 and years of hard work into a multimillion-dollar company. Apprehension most often refers to the fear that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. It's a feeling of being worried about the future. The word can also refer to seizure by legal process. There is growing apprehension that next quarter's profits will be lower than expected. Both the army and the police were involved in the apprehension of the terrorists.
Something described as minuscule is very small. Minuscule can also mean written in, or in the size or style of, lowercase letters, in which case it can be contrasted with majuscular. The number of bugs in the latest version of the video game is minuscule compared to the number that surfaced in the beta version. The ancient manuscripts on display are all in minuscule script.
Virtuoso is used broadly to refer to a person who does something very skillfully and is often used specifically to refer to a very skillful musician. He's a real virtuoso in the kitchen, whipping up gourmet dishes for his family not just on holidays but on regular weeknights. Although the violin was her first instrument, she eventually proved to be a virtuoso on the harp.
Inimitable describes someone or something that is impossible to copy or imitate. Courtney delivered the speech in her own inimitable style. John related in his own inimitable way the story of his trip to Tibet.
A gourmand is a person who loves and appreciates good food and drink. Gourmand can also refer to someone who enjoys eating and drinking to excess. He was a gourmand who retired to New Orleans to live close to the cuisine he loved best.
To opine is to express an opinion about something. Many people opine that social media platforms should be better regulated. The headmistress opined that the outing would make a nice change for them.
Wanderlust refers to a strong desire to travel. During their final semester at college, the two friends were both filled with an insatiable wanderlust and began planning a journey to Patagonia together. In July, wanderlust takes over the whole nation.
Divers is an adjective meaning, numbering more than one. The Tri-County Fair offers divers amusements for the whole family. A collection of essays on divers subjects.
Nomenclature is a formal word that refers to a system of names that is used in specialized fields, and especially in science. Nomenclature is also used more broadly as a synonym of name and designation. It took Faith, a trained herpetologist, a while to become familiar with the nomenclature used at the entomology conference.
If something, such as a path, route, or journey, is described as circuitous, it is not straight, short, and direct, but rather takes a circular or winding course. Circuitous can also describe speech or writing that is not said or done simply or clearly. He took a circuitous route to town, stopping at several of his favorite shops even though it added minutes and miles to his trip. While either method will yield the correct answer, one is far less circuitous and therefore considered superior.
To edify someone is to teach them in a way that improves their mind or character. The commencement speaker hoped that her words would edify the graduates and give them hope and encouragement. It is not clear whether the purpose is to edify or simply to make money.
Sward is a literary word that refers to an area of land covered with grass. The hikers emerged from the forest to find a green sward dotted with yellow and purple flowers stretching out before them. Some sat on the ground, others danced on the green sward.
Facetious is used to describe something, such as a remark or behavior, that is meant to be humorous or funny, but is sometimes instead annoying, silly, or improper. It can also be used to describe someone who is joking, often implying that they are doing so inappropriately. The MC delivered several facetious quips throughout the night that the audience found in poor taste. I was just being facetious, I didn't mean it seriously.
An audition is a short performance to show the talents of someone such as an actor or a musician who is being considered for a role in a play, a position in an orchestra, etc. Auditions will be held next week for the spring musical. She had an audition for a small part, but ended up landing a starring role.
To encroach is to gradually move or go into an area that is beyond the usual or desired limits, or to gradually take or begin to use or affect something that belongs to, or is being used by, someone else. Encroach is often followed by on or upon. Conflicts between people and bears increase as humans continue to encroach on bear territory. They argue that the law would encroach on states' authority.